Happy Valentine's Day, belated Valentine's Day. It's the season of love, I think, apparently. It's come and gone. It's come and gone very quickly. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Gaming Aroma podcast with me, your host KDB. Video game chat fueled by coffee. Although today, no coffee. I literally finished a coffee about 15 minutes ago because I was desperate for one, and I was looking at some of the news ready for the show on what I might talk about, and I finished my coffee, and so I've grabbed myself a squash in case I need to hydrate, which I do already. Now, squash. I have American listeners. I know I do. American friends. Do you call it squash in America? I've never actually thought about this. Cordial, right? Do you call it orange cordial? Let me know. Comment. Write in. Send me a postcard. Yeah, squash. So it's like where you've got the concentrated flavour soft drink and then you dilute it with water or soda water if you want. I remember you can't really do this anymore because everything's so expensive. But back in the day, if I was going to the pub and I wasn't drinking, I was a designated driver, and there wasn't this boom of non-alcoholic beers and stuff that we have now, I would always get a lime and soda, lime cordial, lime squash with soda water. And most places, because the squash is so cheap, you could get like a pint of lime and soda with ice and a slice of lime for like 70p. And it's basically a little cocktail. And I would love that. And then there seemed to be, I don't know if pubs and establishments started kind of cottoning on to this as everyone's belts started getting tighter and pubs were making less and less money. All of a sudden, to get a fucking orange squash and soda or lime and soda, you're lucky to find one for cheaper than £2.50. Criminal. What is the world coming to? How have they let this happen? When I say they, I mean, them, the government, those people, the people running things. So yeah, I've got an orange squash today. Lime soda used to be the soft drink of choice in pubs, but it is good that there's all these non-alcoholic alternatives now. I appreciate this has nothing to do with video games or what I'm going to talk about today, but it was just on my mind. I had my first non-alcoholic Guinness recently, and that was a revelation. If you had them both next to each other, you could tell which one's got the alcohol in, but it tasted great, and it fills the, it hits that, what's the fucking term? Yeah, whatever. Quenches that thirst. Well, my Alexa doorbell's going off. My wife will get that. Yeah, like if you want the buzz of a beer. It's so weird because it gives you a buzz. I remember a few years ago I was at a wedding and I was the designated driver and I was having non-alcoholic beers, and this is back when all they had was like Beck's Blue, and I had like 3 non-alcoholic beers, and I was sat there at the table thinking, I'm not sure if I'm safe to drive. Which tells you how much of it is like obviously alcohol has a detrimental effect on your brain and you can't drink loads of it and be completely cognizant. But a lot of it is a social thing. Like it can be amplified depending on the situation. Yeah, I found that quite fascinating. And then ever since then, like I try to in the day, like if I'm out in the day, I try not to drink in the day, and I will have a non-alcoholic beer. I don't make a massive habit of it, but it's a good alternative. Oh my god, everything, notifications going off my phone, the doorbell. People just leave me alone. I've got an important podcast to record here. Let's put the phone on silent. There we go. Hopefully there's no emergencies. What was I talking about? Yeah, non-alcoholic beer. So you get the gist. Squash today, though. No non-alcoholic beer. We've been to Aldi, and every Saturday my wife and I will have some wine. We generally share a bottle of wine, which sounds like quite a lot, but that's not a great deal. It's like 2 glasses each. Okay, maybe 3 glasses. But I always buy a can of beer as well as like my Saturday treat, like warm-up treat for the evening, if you like. So yeah, I went for the Aldi Punk IPA rip-off. Got that to look forward to later. But anyway, what am I here for today? It's actually Saturday. I'm recording this on Saturday, I know. Got a busy Sunday morning tomorrow. And the weather's shit today, so we're sort of doing our at-home Sunday things today and then going out tomorrow. My chair will not stop making noise. I know this comes through on the podcast sometimes, but I need to get a new chair. It's very creaky. It's like a low sort of noise. So if you hear that in the background, that is just my chair. I'm very sorry. But yes, video games. What's going on? There's a few things to talk about. A couple of news highlights. A main talking point of the week, and then I've got 2 things for what I am playing. So before I get into the news, let's have a quick Fantasy Critic update, which obviously I've been keeping you all abreast about on this show. My League of Layman's, has been updated. Now, was I sitting second last time, or I said my points hadn't been added? I can't remember. But I had points for Civ 7, which were... not Civ 7. Or was it Civ 6? Civ 5? No, Civ 7, yeah, which came out. My points weren't added yet, but they've been added, which took me up to second place. My games again, Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 6, Civ 7, Avowed, unannounced mainline 3D Mario platformer. Yeah, that's not coming out. Fable, Judas, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Donkey Kong Returns HD, and South of Midnight. And I've got a one more space to fill, which I can bid for. But yes, so I got my points for Civ 7, which took me up to second, just like a couple of points behind Steve from First Aid Spray. But then also I have points in hand because Avowed came out to pretty solid reviews, so which currently sitting at an 81 on Open Critic. So currently I got Donkey Kong Returns HD, which got me 77, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, which got me 82, and Avowed is sitting at an 81. But I don't actually get allocated these points until the game official release date. It's currently in early access, which I'm going to talk more about later. But yeah, that's going to take me up to first, which is good. It's still early days. There's a lot of games to come out, a lot of big games to come out, and then it'll be relatively close at the top, I think. And I'm definitely not. I think this Mario platform is not going to come out, so I need something else to do to take a place for that I need to bid on. But yes, having a blast with Fantasy Critic. It makes me more than ever, in the same way that fantasy football made me care about games that I didn't in the past. I mean, football games, literally the sports matches. This Fantasy Critic makes me keep my eye on the releases, and it's fun. So shout out to everybody that I'm playing with. If you're playing Fantasy Critic, let me know how it's going for you. And yeah, I will be sitting pretty at the top. It'll be tough at the top next week from me. But good luck to everyone else in my league. You're going to need it. To be honest, the 2 news highlights, they're so small, they're almost not worth talking about. I might just quickly touch on them, because I was looking through VGC and looking at all the latest news. I thought, right, what can I have a chat about? What's caught my ear this week? And I'm going to talk about the state of play, the Sony State of Play. But before I do that, firstly, I have here an article from VGC. Ubisoft CEO says the plan is to focus on open world and live service games year after year. Yves Guillemot says the company is focused on these 2 pillars going forward. During a Q&A following a presentation on the company's financial results of Q3 of its 2024-25 financial year, one caller asked the executives on the panel if the executives on the panel could shed more light on their development pipeline going forwards. CEO Yves Guillemot replied that the focus was mainly going to be on open world adventures like Assassin's Creed and live service games like Rainbow Six Siege and The Crew Motorfest. For the foreseeable future, we've been investing significantly for a big pipeline of products for the coming years along our 2 verticals, these being open world action adventure as well as games as a service, native experiences. And that's what we want to deliver year after year. Going on to discuss games already confirmed, as you know, we are preparing for a big launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows in the very short term. Next year we'll have big plans that will benefit Rainbow Six across all platforms. That's focusing well, and that's a key milestone in the gross plan for the company. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Ubisoft, I've sort of mentioned this before in previous episodes, how they've got a lot riding on the upcoming Assassin's Creed. I'm sure I've read that they've got something like 20,000 employees, which is utterly insane. And then you think about their output and you're like, yeah, maybe you need that for your output. And generally they put out well-liked games. I mean, maybe the hardcore gamers and the critics aren't always into their stuff, but the Assassin's Creed games always sell well. I think Far Cry sells pretty well. And they got other things, their fingers in lots of little other pies and little things. But, you know, games are getting more expensive, as we know, and taking longer to make. The bigger the failure, the harder the fall these days. So everybody's kind of thinking, like, if Assassin's Creed bombs, and they've had sharks circling for a while. You know, there's been talk of, like, hostile takeovers of Ubisoft and people wanting to bid for them. The Guillemot family, is it Guillemot brothers? It's two brothers, isn't it, that run the show? But they've been kind of, I think they've been pushing people away because they're banking on their stock shooting up should Assassin's Creed do well. And early previews have come out and it looks and sounds okay. I am going to play it. I'm going to get a Ubisoft Plus month trial, so I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to pay 14 quid or whatever it is, and then I've got it for a month. That's all I need. Yeah, I'm destroying the industry, me, firsthand. But, you know, in terms of this whole live service and open world stuff, it's not going away. Even Sony cancelled all those games as well. That, from what I understand, they reduced the output of them, but they're not going to stop making games as a service, because the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, these are the games that people are playing. Open world, action adventure, and live service. They may not be the games that I'm playing all the time. They may not be the games that you're playing all the time. But the casual, the large percentage of gamers, in inverted commas, if you look at the stats, these are the games that are selling. So why wouldn't these companies keep chasing this? Because although it's like, yeah, it's a big risk for them to take it. If one of these things lands for them, all the risk is rewarded massively. If one thing takes off, you know, look at Elden Ring Night Rain is about to come out. You know, if they have a hit on that, this could be absolutely shit. And there's already slight words of, it's got Fortnite vibes about it, the big circle that closes in on you and stuff like that, and fast paced and building and level up. There's no attributes in the game either. Yeah, this is something that a lot of people are pushing for, and whether the artist-focused directors are involved in this is something that we as hardcore gamers or appreciators of the art form of gaming want. Doesn't matter. These big platforms are big publishers. They got loads of money and they're investing in this because if they want one to hit. And I'm not surprised to see this. I groan, but I have a feeling that we are more than ever steamrolling towards a future where all the big AAAs, the term AAA is becoming muddy these days as well, and that's a conversation for another day, but all the quote-unquote big games, but even this is wrong. I was going to say all the big budget games are the ones aiming for sort of live service models and free-to-play and all that, but then you get these tiny games that don't cost loads of money to make that take off really good with live service. So, yeah, it's really weird, but obviously they think they've got the power to build something special, and with Assassin's Creed and all their other franchises, and why wouldn't they focus on that? Because they just need one of them to hit, and if one of them hits, everything pays for itself and they're fine. So, and I think Assassin's Creed is going to do well, so Ubisoft is going to survive just fine for certainly a while longer, and you're going to see more live service. And I think we are steamrolling towards a future where that is the bulk of the two bulks of the gaming market are going to be live service, massive open world live service, games as a service, whatever, and indies. This classic AAA, even classic AA is sort of, it's going to be like, AA is going to become the new AAA, if that makes sense. Because AAA is, as we know it, is changing and disappearing and is being taken over by this new games as a service model. I realise I'm kind of thinking out loud and maybe boring people a little bit, but you just take a look around. As Fred Durst said back in the day, this is the way it is these days, and it's been this way for a while. This is what people are playing. This is what people are pumping their money into, and I don't like it, and I know lots of my listeners won't like it, but the general public love it. Lap it up. The general public pump their money into those microtransactions. So I was maybe going to touch on this in the PS5, the PlayStation State of Play thing, but WWE 2K25 is coming out, and they announced this thing called the Island Mode. They're like, where you can explore with up to 50 different players at the same time, a bit like, like not like an MMO, but you know what I mean. It's like an online hub where you can, I guess, tag team and explore and do career mode stuff, but also they heavily focused on the shop and the customization and the scrolling through the different wrestler masks, the different, tights you can get and stuff. Exactly like the other 2K games have done, like how NBA 2K was ripping people off with the microtransactions where you got to pay obscene amounts of money to put new trainers and sweatbands on your player. Oh, excuse me, and give them a haircut. WWE 2K25 is going that way, and I hate it, but I tell you now, a lot of people play that game, and enough people are going to pump money into that. It's, the people making the game, the publishing the game, they don't care what I think because they're raking in the money. That's the new way. So then, and then on the flip side, you got things like Balatro, the little indie games, the AA horror, like Silent Hill 2 remake. People have called that AAA. I don't think it was. We'd say that's like a top end AA, right? Maybe a bit more than AA. I don't want to sound like I'm being reductive to it, but the goalposts are changing for what these terms mean. I mentioned last week about the next gen episode that I just did for First Aid Spray with James and Si, and we had a almost 2-hour conversation about what next gen means today, and it's exactly the same thing. So live service, open world action games as we know them are the future, and I don't think that's going to change. I think it's going to become oversaturated to the point where I don't want to play any of them, but I think plenty of people are going to continue to play them. Gacha games, live service games, this is it, unfortunately. So we've got to rely on, it's cool that it is easier than ever to make a video game in some sense, so we can rely on things like Balatro and the hundreds, all the different indie games that are out there. And it's maybe why something like a State of Play is kind of laden with a lot more indie, sort of lower, less big AAA blockbuster things than we've ever seen, because that's just not what's being made. You've got the two ends of the scale now that are sort of massively focused on, and finding that in between is difficult. And I hope that stuff goes away. Doesn't go away. I think about something like the Elder Scrolls 6, and it's like, it's mad to me that they're even trying to attempt to make that, when you look at how Starfield did, which Starfield, despite what some of the internet will tell you, was a success. But what is a success these days? What's a success on Game Pass? They talk about player numbers. Where's their money coming from? Starfield doesn't have a monetization system. It has the Creation Club for mods, but that's not going to be making them as much money as something like Fallout 76 does or Elder Scrolls Online does. So the budget and the timescale for Elder Scrolls 6 is just like, wow, there's a lot going into that. And this is like a last bastion for Bethesda, potentially, in that format, right? Or maybe Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76 are doing so well, because they do well, whether you like it or not, and it brings in enough money that, it helps fund big projects like the Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5, which will be coming in the future. The success of the show gives Fallout a big, brand name push and stuff. So there's maybe kind of outliers that can still continue to do things the way they were, but Bethesda are only doing that because they were bought by Microsoft as well. Like, people are really down on acquisitions, and I get it, and I get why, but Bethesda wanted to be bought. It was basically go away or get bought, and they got bought, and lots of people weren't happy with Starfield. I loved it. There's still hope for them, and Elder Scrolls 6 will be multi-platform as well. Of course it will. So, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but you've got this huge publisher like Ubisoft saying, this is what we're focusing on. And it's like, okay, Like, I'm not surprised. It's what everyone's focusing on in most degree, in sort of most aspects. And so we need to rely on the slightly smaller games. And when I say smaller games, I think it's something like Doom: The Dark Ages. Like, that's a AAA, right? But again, this is AAA coming out now. What the games starting development now, I'm interested in what route they're all taking, because the landscape of games, it's going to be kind of bottom and top loaded, for want of a better phrase, with indies and the live service stuff. And then in the middle, you're going to have these stuff that's going to be more up my street. And we are past the AAA pushing for photorealism. Like, is anyone sat in their boardrooms today ready to greenlight a new game thinking, we need to spend 6 years and spend 6 years and $200 million making this photorealistic AAA game that people play once and don't pump any money into after? No, I don't think that's happening anymore. We're evolving. I'm always talking about the shift and things changing. This is it. Every week, it's becoming my catchphrase on this. Every week, you see a new headline which talks about the way things are going. This is it. So another quick piece of news we have, PS5 reaches 75 million consoles. Now, the reason I just wanted to touch on this quickly is I know I can be down on Sony on this show, to say the least. I should always kind of caveat my thoughts that I know they're doing perfectly well financially and selling consoles and stuff like that. My point is always, it's like, why invest in a certain platform or a certain service? What is their unique selling point? And Sony's unique selling point may have previously been their games and their exclusive games, but we're getting fewer and fewer and fewer of them to write home about. So what you're doing is you're just buying the more expensive piece of plastic to play games that you can generally play everywhere else, apart from, their exclusives. But their exclusives are going to PC. So it's just, anyway. But yes, 75 million consoles shipped. It's chasing the PS4 now. It's obviously going to overtake that at some point. I've said before that I think PlayStation 5 has sold these numbers not because of its quote unquote exclusives. It's sold this way because of habit, and that's just the way it is. A lot of people switched to PS4, started building their digital libraries, as we know. And why would they buy anything else? They're going to stay in that ecosystem, and it's all about the ecosystems these days. So that's huge numbers. Console gaming is in great shape. The Switch 2 is going to prove that even more, because we've heard in recent years, PC's the only thing growing. There's more people going to PC. And it's like, yes, there is more people going to PC, but Switch has done fine. It continues to sell. PS5 is selling just fine as a home console. And the Switch 2 is going to sell very well too. And because console gaming is still a preference to probably most video gamers, I would say, the casual gamers, the people who are playing the FIFAs, the CODs and Fortnites, most of them are playing on console. And yeah, despite a bit of growth on PC as well. So, but I'm just interested in what the offering is. What's Sony offering going forward? Why should I spend £700 on their console and really lackluster subscription service, etc.? So yeah, so fair play to them selling all the consoles. They'll be resting on those laurels for a bit longer. But how long until people get annoyed? Not very long, because the PS5 State of Play came out, which is what I'm going to talk about quickly before I get to what I'm playing. So that was kind of the big thing this week. It was the State of Play. My high-level sort of 30,000 foot thoughts would be it showed a awesome slate of games, loads of great games on there, like, somebody like me who likes variety as well. As a platform showcase, it was diabolical. Just there's no other way to put it, and that's the two kind of lenses you can look at it. And that's why obviously there's been this visceral reaction online, a lot of people saying it's the worst showcase they've done. But then you get people who maybe kind of prefer a bit more diverse gaming, and people who have more to play than ever thought it was pretty solid. and one of their better showcases for a while, which I can completely see. I watch it from the perspective just out of intrigue, because I want to see if they were going to announce any, like I said, unique selling points that might sway me. They didn't do that, really. I think they showed one new first-party game, which was Saros, which I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. A couple of console exclusives, but I don't know if there were any console exclusives, because I think even Stellar Blade's going to PC, right? So yeah, maybe one other console exclusive that's not first party and is third party. But there was nothing on it that would make you want to sell a kidney to get a PS5. Nothing that we know, no updates on stuff that we know about. Nothing for Wolverine, nothing for Ghosts of Yotai, nothing for Death Stranding 2, which is obviously going to have its own showcase soon, apparently. I think they've already confirmed that. There was, the big IP that everyone wants. There was Borderlands in there, which I know a lot of people got excited about as well. But yeah, I just thought loads of great games on display, but as a platform showcase, it was incredibly hollow. I mean, it's like, Sony, what are your teams doing? Nothing. They're not doing anything. We know this. They're back at the drawing board because of all the live service games that have been cancelled. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of, before I say a couple of other things, like top line my thoughts with loads of great video games on show. But it's weird that it was called a PS5 State of Play, because I think nearly every single game that was shown can be played everywhere, and that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. But it's weird to frame it in a State of Play, unless we're moving away from exclusives. It's not like I've been saying that for a year, right? Multi-platform is just the way it is these days, and Sony are doing the same. We're not going to see Horizon on Xbox anytime soon, but it doesn't matter. Horizon's on PC, and Xbox and PC are intertwined as the same platform. So, yeah. My biggest takeaways for it, I thought Shinobi was good. I talked about this being the year of the ninja on a previous episode. Case in point, again, I'm all for it. This was the 2.5D game, right? Shinobi. What was its first look? What was its full name? Shinobi Art of Vengeance, out on August 29th on PS5. Oh, and PS4. And of course, Xbox Series X and X, X and X, X and S, Xbox One, Steam, and Nintendo Switch. Shinobi is coming out on every single platform, but here it was in the State of Play. It looks fantastic. In the last few years, we've had sort of a bit more of this, a modern retro 2.5D thing. Last year, obviously, we had Prince of Persia and Tales of Kanzara. It's a bit Streets of Ragey as well with its art style. How can you not see this and think this looks awesome? I'm fully on board for this. This is a day one for me as far as I'm concerned. So really cool to see Shinobi, and I'm fully on the ninja hype train at the moment with Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi. Yeah, we just need Tenchu to come back as well, and then I'm sorted. Saros, obviously, I've never played Returnal. I don't really care about it, but from what I understand, this is like a spiritual successor. Short CGI trailer that didn't show much, but this is like, okay, it's cool to see the announcement of a new IP and you're doing something. And they did say that a look at gameplay is coming soonish, right, in the summer. Stars Rahul Kohli as well, which he's not done anything bad. So when you see that, it's like, that's reassuring, because he generally doesn't seem to be involved in projects that are what I would consider bad or poorly received. So it's awesome to see him. And I know he loves video games, and, is obviously has been in many video games. But this, yeah, I raised my eyebrows and was like, this looks cool. Looks super, from what I can tell, there's not a great amount of detail, but, big thumbs up for that. And then the other one, which I've sort of talked about previously on this show, is Metal Gear Solid Delta. They showed a new trailer for that, and this is a funny one for me, because as I've kind of said, I'm excited, but also trepidatious about it a little bit. It was so weird to watch this trailer and hear all the quotes from the game. Excuse me. Because they're just reusing the dialogue lines from the original game. So to hear these iconic lines of dialogue that I've heard 100 times before, that I'm so in love with, overlaying the footage and clips of the game that I'm so in love with because I love MGS3. But at the higher, with the new graphics and the new fidelity and all that. But what was weird about it is I was watching it, and for me, when I watched that trailer, it almost doesn't seem like that big of a graphical jump. And I know it is, but because for me, the original MGS3 was so powerful in what it did, visually, graphically, audio, dialogue, story, gameplay, it did so well to immerse you in that story and that world. When I think of MGS3, this is just what I think of. It looks this high fidelity. It's in my mind, you fill in the gaps, and that's the magic of something like a video game and an old video game, which you go back to and you're like, oh, I don't remember it looking this bad. It's because the video game did so well at filling in the gaps with its its polygonal graphics and stuff, low polygonal graphics. And this is a bit like that for me. I watched this trailer like, oh, that's a slight upgrade on the game from 20 years ago, when it's not. It's a huge upgrade visually, and I'm sure it's going to be, I was going to say awesome, I'm sure it's going to be decent. I am still slightly trepidatious, but it's funny, everyone's saying how incredible it looks, but I'm so in love with the original that I look at this and it's like, it doesn't look like that big of a step up. It just looks like the thing I know and love with a slight shinier sheen on it, even though I know technically it is a lot more than that. The game is so well made to me in the past that it looks like this in my mind. So it's a really weird experience to see this trailer. And I think it's one of these ones I'm like, am I day one? I kind of am day one for it, but maybe I'll wait and see what the reviews is, because there could be something could go terribly wrong with this. I don't know. We will see. I don't think it's going to, but yeah, they were my biggest takeaways, really. I mentioned the WWE thing a minute ago, but yeah, so there was lots of great games on show for the State of Play. It was just weird that it was a Sony State of Play. There was no updates on Wolverine, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding. Maybe they could have showed something else from the new Naughty Dog game. I don't know. But no, what did we get? Another fucking remaster. To quote me on a previous episode, what are you going to buy a £700 console for? More cancelled games or another remaster? Here you go. Days Gone remastered. A game that isn't even universally loved. They haven't done a sequel because it didn't sell well. The director left the studio. But here you go. It's a remaster. When everybody's screaming for Bloodborne, even though from what I understand, Bloodborne's not happening because Miyazaki doesn't want it to. So, a weird State of Play. I mean, for me, I still don't know how you can't watch in the last year that the Xbox Summer Showcase last year and their developer direct and not think that Game Pass has the better offering at the moment, because it just does. I think you can't. As I said at the start, I could be down on Sony. I can't see how you can argue that the value and offering you're getting from Game Pass is worse than what Sony is showing off from their own studios. It's just like, yeah. Xbox has the games now. It has the games, and they're everywhere, which is brilliant. Xbox studios are making great games, or the games that look great. Still got to play them and look out. I'm playing one of them, which I'm going to get to. But yeah, I'm not going to rabbit on. You guys get it. I will rabbit on another episode. I'm not going out and buying a PS5 yet. Sorry, Sony. You need a couple of big, more heavy hitters. You need a big price drop or something like that for me to get involved, because I just can't do it. Can't pay this much for a console and then £60-70 for all your games, when most of them I'm going to be able to get on my Xbox anyway. So, right. What have I been playing? Funnily enough, a Sony PlayStation game. Just not a new one. Last Sunday, after I finished the podcast, went and did some family stuff. Had some free time in the afternoon. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to return back to the jungle. I'm going to go back to the island. Not the WW20K at 2K25 island. I'm going to go back to the Uncharted island. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I accidentally owned 2 copies of Uncharted: Drake's Fortune for PS3 because I bought one ages ago, and then more recently I was like, I was in CEX and I thought, Uncharted, I'll pick that up. I've not played that, and then I got home and realised I already had a copy. So yes, hashtag collector problems. And a little while back, I did start it, maybe just before Christmas. I stuck it on for an hour and a half and played through the intro and stuff. And I was like, this is not bad at all. I quite like this. So I finally got back to Uncharted and played some of that last Sunday. And then a couple of evenings through the week, just ploughed through it. What was it, 8 hours, I think, in total. Never played anything from the franchise before. Obviously heard a lot of positive things. I've managed to avoid like spoilers and stuff, which is quite good, but never really knew much about the tone. I knew it was kind of like Tomb Raider meets Indiana Jones and all this kind of stuff, but I went back to it, and it's way more fun than The Last of Us, I'll tell you that now. The Last of Us I'm about halfway through, and that could be very labour intensive sometimes. Story's cool, but yeah, in terms of gameplay, Uncharted, I absolutely dug the vibe of it. It does feel very much of its time, and it's quite repetitive. It's very much room to room, kill bad guys, room to room, kill bad guys, jump around a bit. The puzzles are incredibly thin on the ground, but there was something about the action gameplay that I could see why it hooked people. And I could imagine playing this in 2007 when it came out. I would have probably thought this was incredible. So yeah, playing it today, I was like, I had a lot of fun with it. There was a couple of times I thought this is getting a bit repetitive. Shall I bother finishing? But I knew that it wasn't a long game, so I persevered and played through. Some really bullshit AI of the time as well, where like there's some like creatures in it and they like run round in circles in a weird way. It's like, they're dodging. No, they're not dodging. It's just really simple AI. And then some of the actual human enemy AI, it is fun to see how clever they are, but my God, they enraged me. And sometimes I just wanted to rage quit the game because they would not like pop their heads out at all, no matter what I did. And then you sort of look slightly left or right, and then finally they pop out. And I don't know if that's just ropey design or if the game AI is so clever that they are really reading what I'm doing. But how can an enemy hiding behind a pillar know what my character is doing when they're not poking their head out? So that's what pissed me off, because it's not like they were checking to look. They somehow had X-ray vision and knew when I changed position, and then they come out and shoot me with their sniper rifle or whatever it is. So that annoyed me. But generally the gunplay I thought was really fun, different weapons and stuff, looking for a few secrets. Story was fine, again, easy to digest, fun references, and again, it feels very Indiana Jones. Thought Nathan Drake was fairly likable as a character. The quips and stuff weren't egregious. I thought they were acceptable, but I did really enjoy it. By the end of it, I was like, I did really enjoy the vibe, and because I knew that there are many sequels, I thought, I'm sure they step up. I'm sure they take what's here at the Foundations and make it better, right? They must have, because there's like fucking 7 of them now. So I imagine 2 and 3 are probably quite solid. I could be wrong, but I'm going to. It's half term at the moment, and I've got Monday and Tuesday off. My son and I, we're going to go into town on Monday, go to CEX. If they've got Uncharted 2, I will pick it up. I'm definitely going to dive straight into that. So yeah, back when Sony were pumping out the first party games, right? Uncharted, big thumbs up from me. Not a double thumbs up. Excuse me, just a 1 thumbs up. The music was awesome. I thought the music was really good. And the game disc has like behind the scenes special features on it, like a DVD extra. There's a callback to last week's episode, which I loved. Behind the scenes, the making of the game, which I'm sure you can watch on YouTube, but I quite enjoyed that it was just there on the disc, and I could watch the studio people making it and stuff. So that was really good, and I watched all that, and you can tell a lot of love and effort went into the game, and the technology was good, and the mocap and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm an Uncharted convert for now. What's next? What else am I playing? I didn't get back to Perfect Dark. I know I said I was going to, but yeah, this past week it's been Uncharted, and then I got to the aforementioned in Fantasy Critic section, Avowed. New Obsidian RPG / ARPG from Obsidian, Xbox Studios published, Avowed. It's here. A game that what I thought when they first started showing it off looked ropey as fuck, and I was very concerned this was going to be an incredibly mid game, and it was going to fall the same way some of the other Xbox Studios games have fallen, where maybe released too early and stuff like this. But it got delayed, and clearly that delay helped. I think it got 6 months delay from its original date. But it's here. It's currently in early access. It's not officially out. Now, I had zero intentions of paying the early access for this game. We get to play it 5 days early or whatever. And sometimes that stuff can be a huge fucking rip-off. I think it depends what you get. I remember when I did the Starfield one, it was like 25 quid to get the premium upgrade. And okay, you got the early access, but you also got the DLC, which was going to cost, money anyway. I can't remember. I think it was 20 quid when it came out. So you basically pre-ordering the DLC, you got your digital extras, you got credits for the Creation Club as well. So I was fine with that. I thought that was worth it. Avowed, you get a few in-game skins, digital art book, and digital soundtrack. And you got that with Starfield as well. But nobody wants a digital art book. No, I want an actual art book. But I think the premium upgrade to get the early access was £17. I had a voucher on my console, an Xbox voucher for £10 that I've got from my Microsoft rewards. So I only had to pay 7 quid. And I had zero intention of doing it. But then the reviews dropped. And there's a couple of reviews that are like, this is quite mid and not very good. But all of my trusted reviewers, I've talked about trusted reviewers on this show before. You should have them. If you don't have them, go out and find your trusted reviewers. They all loved the game. And scores between 8s and 9.5s. A 4 out of 5, 9.5. And just... So I was like, right, okay, now I'm sitting up and paying attention. And I don't usually read the reviews of games before I play them if I'm intending on playing them. But I seeked out a few snippets of these reviews, and I read enough. What converted me, to be honest with you, was, okay, these high scores, people are saying, yes, this is a really solid game and great writing and stuff like that. Talked about how fun and varied the combat is. And then one of the biggest selling points, I tell you, is they said, it's not 100 hours. It's an RPG. They were like, you can finish the main quest in like 25 hours or less, maybe. And then, so like reviewers' game times varied. It was like, yeah, kind of 25 hours, but if you're doing all the side quests and stuff, maybe pushing 50 hours. So when I heard that it was a quote unquote digestible RPG with all these other ticks in the reviews, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold. I'm gonna get it. It's on Game Pass. It's gonna cost me 7 quid to get it early. I've got no games that I'm desperate to play for the next week, and it's half term, and I've got some days off. Yeah, why not? It's the weekend. Let's do it. And so I did it, and I am about 4 hours in, which is still early going. It feels a lot closer to Skyrim than Starfield did. Starfield, I think, had shades of Oblivion. This feels close to Oblivion in ways as well, but it feels a lot closer to Starfield. It even has like sound effects that Starfield used, like the drum roll and stuff. But it's clear that this is Obsidian stepping up with, Microsoft money and being given the time and money to kind of, as the kids say, cook a bit longer. And I'm having a blast with it. I've sort of, and I know nothing about the Pillars of Eternity universe in which this is set. But the first hour of playing it, I was like, yes, you can feel it. You know when it gets its hooks in you, right? There's something about the tone, the colours, the atmosphere. And once they start letting you attack and they show that these are the different things you can do to attack, you know, with your melee, your magic, your bows, your swords, and it's got guns. It's got magic and guns and stuff, you know. So there's a lot of variation here. I was just having fun and was like, okay, I'm in. I'm completely sold. I'm glad I've spent the £7 on this. I've got it on Game Pass. And yeah, it's cool to see the positive response and for me to see those reviews and then play it myself and be like, yeah, okay, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely not as dynamic as a Bethesda game. And I've seen a few people say this, like a lot of the NPCs are just stood still. Everyone's stood still. There's loads that are walking around, but all the key people are just stood still. So you can see, yeah, that slight, how it's not quite as grandiose as something like Starfield or Fallout or whatever. The writing is fun and so far engaging and not confusing because the game has an in-game glossary at any point during the conversation. If somebody says like a character name or a lore term that you don't understand or have forgotten what it means, and I posted about this on Blue Sky as well, you can just press X and it opens up a little glossary and all the things that were said in those conversations that are important lore points, it has them as a heading. You go to it and it explains to you what it is. And I was just like, every game needs this. This is something that an old person like me that forgets what was said to me 2 minutes ago. Yeah, this is something I'm now going to hold against every RPG if they don't have this. And I think maybe some games have had a similar thing, but I've played a few RPGs and I've never seen this in a game. So big thumbs up for that. It helps you engage and understand and not get lost, because I'll play some games, I don't fucking remember who the characters are, what they've done and where they've been and what this weird thing means. But yeah, this is helping me to stay engaged. It's basically an accessibility feature as far as I'm concerned. So, but yeah, the writing is good. The characters are so far, there's this sort of vibe of they're sort of cynical, and you know, a lot of them have got different regional accents, and there's a bit of sarcasm that feels authentic and not like a Marvel movie or a Marvel character. So they're quite likable, and it feels like, obviously I just finished Cyberpunk recently, and the characters feel way less serious than Cyberpunk. This is a big palate cleanser for that. A bit more fun, bit more tongue-in-cheek, so which is really what I'm after and what I prefer. And that's what the Bethesda games have as well. So Obsidian are known for being good at this stuff, and I think, you know, I've seen some people say that writing's trash, and I'm like, don't really know what you're talking about. But anyway, each to their own. Visuals look great. I've seen a couple of little visual bugs, but you know, it's early access, not early access. It's pre-release or whatever it is. So I'm sure there'll be a patch, and you know, it's annoying that if you're in at day one, you're sometimes getting the worst version of the game, but nothing game breaking. My game's not crashed. Just I've seen a couple of characters sliding across the floor and things like that, but I'm used to that in Bethesda games. As I said, it's not quite as dynamic. Like if you think in a Bethesda game, and I hate to keep comparing it to those, but it's the obvious comparison. You can pick up pretty much everything. You can't do that in Avowed. The item pickups are very specific and placed kind of quite far apart from each other. It has like a really good platforming system where you can climb the buildings and stuff and find a little backpack or a little hidden treasure or something. And the Bethesda games do not have that at all. Then they don't really encourage climbing anything. They encourage walking a path. This encourages you to climb, you know, little platforms and up the side of buildings and yeah. So, and that's really fun. Like I played for an hour before bed last night, and rather than do any of the quests, I just went and I just had a podcast on and just did a bit of exploring and opened the map, and where I didn't need to speak to anyone or hear any dialogue, I just practiced, you know, just did some attacking and got used to the controls a bit more. And I really enjoyed that, and it kind of has hooked me even more. And now I'm like ready to go for the next chapter of the story and stuff. So yeah, lots to explore. They've kind of nailed the platforming side. Very similar to how in Elden Ring, where it's a bit like, oh, what's that over there? I really think I need to go over that hill or climb that thing or do this. This has a bit of that. So yeah, they've got something here. And some of the reviews I looked at said that it wears off the later you get into the game, the kind of fun of it. We'll see. We'll see what that means. I mean, I'm kind of playing as I'm playing as a ranger, focusing with a bow, but with magic as well, because it kind of encourages you to do kind of two routes, because you have two weapon loadouts that you switch between constantly. So I've got my main bow, and then but if I need to quickly switch to some magic because people are getting a bit too close to me, I've got my magic book in one hand and a quick dagger in the other hand. So, and that's just, yeah, a combat experience that I haven't really had in another game as of late. It's a bit like, I said, it's like an ARPG. It's kind of, yeah, in the same way Diablo, you've got your things, your loadouts, and they've got cooldowns. This is the same. Your attacks will have cooldowns and stuff like that. So, but it's just not a top-down game. It's first person. You can play it in third person as well, which is good. The music is insanely good. Absolutely loving the music so far as well. But yeah, that's early impressions. I am really happy I spent the £7 to get it. Would I pay 70 quid? If I'd paid 70 quid for this and I'd seen a little bit of the ropiness that it's got, I'd probably be a bit, this isn't worth 70 quid. But it doesn't matter. It's on Game Pass. This is the world we live in these days. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to smashing through it because it's not going to take me 100 hours. And yeah, and then what will take me 100 hours is Assassin's Creed, which is out next month. So if I ever finish that. And that is about it, really. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Going to go crack on with the rest of my Saturday. Thank you, everyone, as always, for listening, for liking the YouTube link, and for listening on Spotify. Please leave me a rating or review, like the video, like the podcast, follow, leave me a comment, get involved. Happy gaming this weekend. What have I got coming up? Going to be joining the A Winner Is You lads for another video game draft next week as well, so look after that. It probably won't be out next week, but I'm going to be recording it. I've got a Gears Intel video to record this week, not a podcast episode, but I've got something to do there, so come and check out Gears Intel if you like Gears of War, and come and check out First Aid Spray, as I mentioned, Tapes from the Wastes, Starfield Sandwich, just everything I do. And come and follow me on Blue Sky, because that's where I was going to say tweet about everything. That's where I post about everything. God, fucking Elon Musk just getting rid of... Imagine being a business and basically having terminology that is in the lexicon, like tweet and retweet and stuff, and he's just got rid of it all. Anyway. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Enjoy your week. Stay safe. Look after each other. And I will see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.